Have you ever thought about the question, is porn cheating? Well, Jen, tonight we're talking about it. Is porn cheating on your partner? Yes or no?
Oh, I wish it was as black and white as yes or no, because then we could just wrap up and we're like, okay, thanks for coming by.
Well, that's why we do Intuitions and Orgasms podcast, because it's a grey area. Because it's grey.
Mhm,
There is definitely lines of yes, it is cheating. But then there's
mhm,
a grey area where it's not. So it depends on
mhm.
as we always say, it depends on the circumstance.
It's always circumstantial, isn't it? And depends on like what the intention is from porn. And if there's often we find there's addiction underneath, or there's a lack of being able to feel feelings. Like if you remove porn and someone's going to have an emotional outburst, for example, and get
Mhm.
really angry that they don't get to get off to porn,
Yeah.
there's something underneath that porn addiction that says, hey, you've got work to do on yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do this, right? What is porn doing to desensitize, let's say, usually men, towards their partners? What is looking at porn all the time and let's just say you're looking at a 10 out of 10. Can't usually, some guys, you know, scrolling an AI porn chick now, or a 10 out of 10 kind of girl he'll never ever have, right? What
Mhm.
is having intimate moments with another person doing to men's connection with their own partners?
So I feel like we need to take this right back
Right
to
back.
their teen
Okay.
years.
Okay. Let's go
Right back
right
to
back.
their teenage years, because generally that's when boys start exploring pornography. Whether it was like the olden days, finding dad's magazines or videos, or like now all you have to do is just jump online and it's so accessible, unfortunately.
Yep.
But a lot of boys weren't educated on what sex is. And it was all about like how many chicks can you get, how laid can you be, like, it's a numbers game, everything like that. So they turn to pornography for education. And that level of education does not speak into intimacy, does not speak into connection, does not speak into relationships. It's porn, it's hardcore porn. As adults, we know this, but boys stay in this mentality. They're not like walked through to manhood to be like, we don't need to do that here anymore. So, because of the lack of education, they're watching these videos. They're going, oh, so if you bend her over this way and she moans that way and she makes this noise, I'm doing good. I've got to keep doing that. And so they get a real life woman with like tits and hips and all of the things. And they're like, bend, moan, squirt. And there's this like expectation of women to then perform, because if men, whether they admit it or not, that they enjoy pornography, women then feel as though, well, I've got to be like the woman that's in their porno. I've got to be the size 6. I've got to have the big tits. I've got to have the face and all of the things. And so we've just seen like just this decline of like boys just don't become men anymore in the
No.
bedroom. They just relied on it so much.
Yeah, and I think it's a good point is that I was never taught. No one had the conversation with me. I learned through school,
Mm-hmm.
and then you learn through watching porn, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it's most of the time it's abuse. Back in the day, half the girls were coked off their head anyway, highly drugged.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you were right. It's like it's guys were taught that to be a man and to be someone of the leader of the pack, this is what you did, right? And girls
Mm-hmm.
conform to that because, oh, okay, well, threesomes are in, let's have a threesome, right? you know
Mm-hmm.
if you do it this way, that, oh yeah, she's loving that part, let's try this, or slamming her up against a wall, or choking her, or putting a pillow over her head, or
Hitting
whatever
her
the shitty.
face, like it's
Yeah,
like spanking without consent. Like there's so many things.
we look
Yeah.
at porn like, and a lot of the stuff you will see guys jerking off in the girls' faces.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Like, and then there's this, I guess, this wave of just women that wanted to be porn stars because they wanted to be accepted and validated, that they wanted to be a somebody. I remember I went to high school with a girl, and I'm pretty sure maybe she was still in high school. It was that young. If not, we had just left high school, and she was sending her pictures into People magazine, and they got published.
Oh wow.
And like teenager,
Yeah.
teenager. And it
God.
just like, and the thing is, that became a gateway, right? So
Yeah.
that became a gateway for her. It was that. Then it was, oh, everyone tells me that my boobs are too small. I need to get a boob job so I look good in the pornos.
Yep.
Then it was stripping.
Yep.
Then it was prostitution.
Yeah.
Like it just kept going for her. And like she just got so lost. And there was like drugs and alcohol in the mix and all of the things, at the
Mm.
time, which is so sad. It's so sad that that happened to her. And this is just one isolated incident. Not everyone that wants to be in that scene, whether it's, stripping or, sex worker,
Yep.
goes down, a really nasty path. But for a lot of women that are in that space, it does happen.
Yeah. And it is a spiral because at that, for that female, especially from a monetary perspective, you get hooked in because the cash is that good.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing that rather than working a 9 to 5 job.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? A little bit easier sometimes, maybe. I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
And you
I
get a
was
lot of
talking
money.
to a girlfriend yesterday that was a stripper years ago. And she was in it for about 6 months, and she's like, I just watched these girls hustle and they made money.
Yeah.
And I'm actually so glad that I didn't get tied up in that at all, and that became my scene, because I also know, like, I left school early. So I dropped out of school in year 11 and I began full-time work, and I kept my part-time job at the corner shop, right? So I was working 6 days a week. I
Yeah.
loved making money from a young age. And when everyone was off to schoolies at the end of grade 12, I was buying my first car paying cash.
Yeah.
And so I love the hustle. And so there's parts of me that are surprised that I didn't get caught up in that world, because I would have seen dollar signs and been like, oh,
Yeah,
come at me. But there was something
yeah.
that always said to me, like, just don't go down that path.
Yeah. So with all that stuff and what you're talking about, how it actually what happens in to people in the porn and all that kind of stuff. Back to sort of where we're leading it. Does it desensitize you in an intimate space? Because if you're jerking off to porn all the time, 5 days a week, 6 days a week, or females using a vibrator, whatever, getting herself off to whatever she wants to as well too. Are we desensitizing ourselves to having really true intimate connections with our partner?
1,000%, Greg. And we've got to then understand, like, what do people want to have sex for? Like, what is the purpose of sex? What is the purpose of intimacy? And what is the purpose of essentially orgasm and ejaculation?
Yeah.
So some people, like, I have spoken to people that can't sleep without ejaculating. They
Yep.
literally need to ejaculate every night to go to sleep, because they've created this conditioned mindset that says, I have to release this energy in order to sleep. And that's a slippery slope,
Mm.
because if, like, they're doing it, they're servicing themselves because their partner's not necessarily into it. And so they're finding, like, all right, well, I'll just do it myself. And if it's just something constantly over and over again, like, I can't understand how something could be so pleasurable if you're just doing the same thing. It's like brushing your teeth. You get to a point where you're like, I mean, I do it because I have to do it, but I'm not enjoying doing it. It's a
Yeah.
novelty when you're like, 2 years old, learning how to use a new toothbrush. So yes, there's absolutely desensitization that happens, but I think people are just out there having so much unconscious sex. Like, people aren't having sex for the sake of, like, pure intimacy, spiritual connection, personal evolution, procreation. Like, everyone's out there like fucking like bunnies because it feels good, without actually knowing the true, deep, meaningful purpose of sex.
Yeah, I love your segues. I love how you segue. Because I just wrote down here stress. Are we, and you mentioned that we're just having, procreating like bunnies, right? Stress is being used for the incorrect, sex is being used for the incorrect tools. It's being used as a relief tool. to
Mhm.
manage our lives these days rather than, what it should be used for.
Mhm. Yeah, like everyone's just so stressed. Like life itself is stressful. And so people believe that like sex is there to de-stress, which is fine because it can support that. But that's not what we weren't designed, we actually weren't put on this earth to stress. We weren't here, to exist in the way we have. We've built this ourselves, right? We got
Yeah.
to take responsibility for that.
And when you're getting that dopamine hit of, your sex, what you have to keep doing to create that dopamine hit again, you have to get stressed again.
You keep
It's
doing it. It's
cycle.
the oxytocin. Like it feels really good. It's the same as, someone perhaps using recreational drugs.
Mhm.
Like you have a couple of lines of cocaine. I wouldn't know. I've only read about it in a book. Like you have a couple of lines of cocaine
I'll tell you
and
about it.
then constantly you're needing more. You need to keep going further to get that hit.
Mm.
You got to
Yeah.
keep doing. And this is where like people get some, can go down the path of I need it kinkier or I need more people involved. I need more sort of like bondage or BDSM, like things to take it to the next level,
Mm.
to find new ways to tap into pleasure, as opposed to going, hang on a second, what if I just removed it completely, took a break from it,
Yep.
reset myself, reset my dopamine, oxytocin, like find ways in which to experience pleasure outside of intercourse.
Yep.
And then whether it's with self or in a partnership, you've got to see, like, you've got to check in with yourself. If you can't live without something, and this goes for anything, what is underneath that? And sex is a massive one for that.
I'm pretty connected to this podcast. I don't know what I'd do without it, personally. So,
Exactly.
um, all right. So let's put ourselves in a listener's boat, right? I'm a
Hmm.
listener, and my husband or wife is constantly watching porn. We don't have a lot of sex, and when we do have sex, it's quite transactional. Is that porn causing an issue? And is watching porn cheating?
The porn is definitely an issue because you've got an issue in the bedroom. You've got an intimacy issue, right? And if
Yeah.
porn's involved, it's an intimacy issue. If it is taking away, this is my personal perspective, if it
Mhm.
is taking away from your intimate life, then it is a form of cheating. You are cheating on intimacy. You're not necessarily cheating with your partner by having a physical affair, but you are cheating on your connection and your intimacy by taking what is generally like so sacred for you and your partner, and you're taking that elsewhere. Like you're taking that into a tissue in the bathroom because you've got to do it, somewhere else other than the bedroom, watching like Pornhub on your phone. Like, yes, to me, absolutely, it's a version of cheating. Just because it's not a physical affair doesn't mean it's not cheating.
I would tend to agree with that,
Hmm.
because I think, and I feel that if you've got your partner next to you, and if they're healthy, right? Like if you've got issues, there's always grey areas, right? Let's just say someone's sex drive
Hmm.
falls off a cliff for whatever reason. There's medical reasons why that happens, and sex dries
Hmm.
up, and then all of a sudden, you're getting your kicks from another area because that's something your partner knows about and absolutely supports it, right? Different kettle of
Hmm.
fish, right? But when you've got a relationship where the communication's fallen apart, it's um, it's not where it should be, and your intimacy and sex has started to fall off a cliff, and you're then getting some kind of kick with another person outside of your
Hmm.
partner, then it is a form of cheating.
Hmm.
Or if
From
you're doing
from
it
a
behind
yes.
their back, right? If as well too is
Mm.
that a lot of this stuff is done in secret as well too, like you said, like it's done in a in a place where they're not watching what's going on, right?
Hmm.
It's that deception as well too, like you're doing it when nobody else is looking.
Hmm. Yeah. What is your perspective if women are reading like these fantasy smut books? Is that in the same category?
I say no.
Mm-hmm.
I say no because erotica is different for me than paying a OnlyFans girl $8 a minute so I could watch her remove parts of her clothes so I can jerk off to my computer.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever happens on there, and people are going to believe this, but I've never watched OnlyFans, right? So,
Neither have I. We're both very green to this.
right, and I have to, and this is going to sound really weird. I have to pretense my bias here, right? I don't watch porn, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just not something that when I was younger, yeah, I've had my fill, right? But as
Mm-hmm.
a 50-year-old male right now, that's not something that even is on my
It's not on
radar,
the
right?
bingo card for this year.
Right?
Yeah.
Not trying to, big note myself and look at how holier than thou, right? It's one of those things that just doesn't rate, right?
Mm.
Um, but I think there's a difference between erotica
Mm-hmm.
and watching porn in a way that you're giving another person something that you should be giving to your partner as a divine,
Mm-hmm.
connection. Whereas I
Mm-hmm.
think visualization, dreams, thinking, all that kind of stuff, more in the eroticy space is can be very healthy because you look after the 50 Shades of Grey. How many men got laid after that? How
Exactly.
many husbands got laid after that? They're going, please buy some more books.
Mm.
I remember the old Mills and Boone stuff, right? They were the
Yes.
80s erotica, right? So I
Yes.
think, that's like it's fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
I would put that into the fantasy side of things because it's you're reading a book or that kind of stuff is a little bit different from my perspective because
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of just again in that fantasy space. But if
Mm.
you're going down the OnlyFans place and you're subscribing to a chick and she's taking your money, I think that it's a very dangerous slippery slope, like you said. Like and
Mm.
I see the other end where there's so many issues in relationships and defective because the amount of porn that somebody watches has
Mm-hmm.
really like they don't have a lot of sex with their partner.
No, it's all channeled into their phone or their computer and a tissue. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and
Mm.
it's sad to see, but we're so quick to get this instant gratification. We can go online, we can get this
Mm.
really hot chick, and we can look at
Mhm.
her and jerk off to her. We're done in like 2 or 3 minutes, and we move along, right? And I
Mhm.
think especially from a male perspective, it's that we can jerk off and just go.
Mhm.
There's no need to talk to her. There's no need to comfort her.
Exactly. There's
There's
no
no need
aftercare needed.
There's no aftercare. There's no hugging, right?
Mhm.
She's like, oh, okay, I got what I wanted. So I think
Mm.
we're desensitizing ourselves to being intimacy, but I think that's come from a long time ago. As we've checked out of real deep intimate communication between our partners, and
Mm.
porn's hijacked our brains for these easy dopamine kicks, and your brain just in the sense just goes, oh, this is great, this is fantastic, I love this shit.
Mm.
Like I'm getting my jerks off, there's a
Yeah.
hot chick in front of me, and right now I don't have to deal with my wife.
Exactly. What's your perspective on AI when it comes to this? Like, if you can have a conversation, an intimate, even romantic conversation with AI, where it's basically going to agree with you and it's going to converse back with you, what's your perspective of that?
I think it's the same as people who use too much AI now are going to find themselves unable to think in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So everyone
Yeah.
who's and this is a warning to people is this why I have books still is the fact is that if you outsource your thinking to a large language model or whatever comes next of the AI sentient bots, is that you're in a
Mm-hmm.
place where human thinking is going to start to evaporate. You can't start to problem solve. You're constantly outsourcing your thing to another thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but I do think you know because relationships are complex and they're hard and they're challenging and they're difficult and they're great and also sometimes they're shit. They
Mm-hmm.
cause us grief and they cause us problems. If I can buy myself a robot that is, you know, 5'9", has certain features, says what I want, does what I want, whenever I
Mm-hmm.
want. Oh, I think it's coming. I think,
Mm-hmm.
as soon as there's robots, right, that are
Aren't
going
they
to
just
have,
mail order brides?
yeah, true. This is the new and improved version, right? Um, and it's going to come. There's going to be a stage where you're going to have sometime in the
Mm.
future, people not having communication. They're going to have a robot slave at home that they can wash every couple of days to clean it off, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so what about your perspective on this? A man in a relationship not watching porn but masturbates with a fleshlight. Do you know what a fleshlight is? Okay, so a fleshlight is the reason they call it a fleshlight is because it's in the shape of like one of those old school torches, like a light, but inside it's like a silicon vagina that you
Ah,
masturbate into. Basically, it's like a sleeve that you masturbate into. So you
right,
hold on to it and penetrate it, and it's all silicon, like in the shape.
right.
You can get like you can get
There you
vulvas, you can get assholes, and you can get mouths, basically.
go. Right. Is his wife next to him? That's
Well,
the
this is the thing. Like, what if he's got that in the shower and she's in the next room? Like, is that cheating?
Well, here's the thing, right? He's going to jerk off anyway in the shower, whether it's a thing there or not.
Mm.
But
Was
again,
jerking off cheating? Like,
ah, see, here we go, right?
is
Is
masturbation cheating?
Well, if you're in a healthy relationship with your partner, right? If you're in a stage where, and you're two healthy people, right?
Mhm,
And you've got a good communication, if you're jerking off a lot, there's a problem,
mhm. Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
right? So I wouldn't
Yeah,
necessarily call it cheating. I would call it a red flag that
yeah.
shit's going down. that
Let it be known unless you're in opposite states on the other side of the country.
um, but it is, like you said, it's a very grey area depending on the circumstance of what's really going on.
Mm,
I think that if yeah, someone is, if anyone's, even if a female's, using a vibrator or masturbating herself, and her husband's not servicing her, right? It'd be
mhm,
like, you shouldn't be doing that more than just, here and there because it feels good, right? You should be
mhm.
happy to have, if you've got that urge to do it yourself, right? Sometimes I can understand that as to why you're doing it yourself, because you want your own privacy and explore yourself and whatever. But if you've got an
Totally, yeah.
able-bodied person next to you
Mhm.
and you're not doing it with them,
That you love and that you cherish and adore and that you care about, absolutely.
something's wrong.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's not adding up there.
No, no. So, I mean, for most of the people I see, I would say that, because we mostly see people by the time they get to us, they're in a relationship that's somewhat defective. So
Mhm.
most of the people, I would say, there's a sexual dysfunction in the first place. We don't usually see people who've got healthy relationships because they don't seek us out, right?
Yes.
Well, no, that's not true. You will, because you're in that territory.
In tantra,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
because
yeah,
they want to expand on
yeah,
something that's already amazing.
yeah.
But I also do see people in absolute ruins where I have to say to them, "Do you even want this to work? Because there's
Yeah.
no point in us doing any of the exercises if you don't want
If you want to do
to."
it, yeah, right. So,
Mm.
so the place that I sort of see people in is the fact that, there's a major disconnection there anyway, and, the one or both of the partners are getting their sexual preferences from something outside of them because they need it, or they're using it as a weapon
Mm.
against their partner. And I I know of somebody, a client, a long time ago client, is that she would masturbate in front of her husband watching porn, but wouldn't let him touch her.
So he was watching porn.
She was,
She was watching porn, masturbating. He had to watch.
and
That's a power trip. That's
that's,
a that's a transactional power trip. Yeah.
That is, you can't touch me. I'm going to make you feel as bad as possible. Make you feel as I'm going to do this
Mhm.
in front of you. And I know you're watching, just to make you feel shit about yourself. Now
Oh, wow. I would love to get
that's
into her brain.
so where you go is that cheating? Or was that just being a bitch? Right. That is somewhat that's predatory behavior. That's
Was
her.
he consenting to her
No,
doing that?
no, she was
No,
just trying to get back at
okay.
him. Right. So yeah, it was
Yeah, she's
her
got
way
some
of
issues there.
yeah, it was her way of weaponizing against him because he wasn't treating her the right way or something like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. So
Mhm.
it's a grey area. But if I was to sum it up in like a generalized viewpoint, is that if
Mhm.
you're in a healthy relationship, there it is. I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be in a place where you're watching porn unless it's with your partner. If you and your partner are
Exactly,
watching it,
because that's fun as well. Like that can actually be really amazing for couples to sit down and watch it together. And I only found out recently because I'm not a porn watcher either,
no,
but
you
I
old
found
man.
out
Come on,
recently
look at
that
us.
on that on I think it was Pornhub that there's actually an educational tab. And there is like it's like I think there is sort of some tantric stuff on there or sort of more like deeper connected, communication, like that kind of stuff on
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
And I didn't even know about that. Like no one talks about the education tab on Pornhub, which I think is great because like if boys want to have somewhere to go to learn about this stuff, if their fathers or their uncles or older brothers aren't having conversations with them to teach them anything, then they've got to go somewhere to find it.
yeah. And even the point where like you get back to porn, and it's for men, it's the biggest, hardest, longest. Like men have a thing. I've got to last 35 minutes. Right? The average is
Mm,
like three, right?
mm.
So
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, everyone's going, I've got to be 35 minutes. I've got to be harder and bigger and longer and stronger than anybody else has happened, right? Whereas,
Exactly.
you'll know this, right? You know a man who knows his way around a vagina.
Mhm.
There's some things you can do without even inserting a penis that will make him go wild.
Exactly, exactly. Like when a man like knows how to it's not even a vagina, it's before you even get even to her yoni area, her body itself. But not even before you get to her body, it's to her emotions,
Yeah,
energy, words, intuition. Like a man that knows about energy is miles ahead of a guy that can just go for 35 minutes or is a bit bigger and more well endowed, like that means nothing. Absolutely nothing. I worked with a
right.
couple recently, and the guy was like, I come every day and I love it and I feel good. I want my wife to feel good. So I just want her to come every day. And the relationship is, in ruins.
Yeah,
And he just thinks orgasm equals happiness, right? She's going, I don't want you anywhere near me because I don't feel connected to you in any sort of way. And the more that you think I just want an orgasm, the more it reinforces that you know nothing about me.
yeah, yeah. And there it is because you've got, he's thinking of himself, but he's been brought up on that kind of stuff, right? And again,
Mhm.
you watch too much porn, like anything that you get too much of, it desensitizes
Mhm.
you to a lot of stuff, right? And
Yeah.
you get to a point where you're watching this extreme stuff on this porn channel, yet you're missionary with your wife, and you're not there because you're watching real extreme sports on this other channel, and
Mhm.
with your wife you're doing this. So all of a sudden you disconnect because you're
Exactly.
desensitized to the whole lot. It's like, oh, that's just missionary, right? Where and then she feels it, and she's like, well, you're not in this. And it's like, no, because I've been watching this other shit going on between three chicks and two dudes, right? And
Mhm.
whatever it is, right?
And that's actually like that's closing her down. She's shutting off. She doesn't
Mm.
want to. She doesn't even want missionary. She doesn't want to be involved if it means that like she's got to just put up with him doing it, basic. Like some of the most liberated women on the planet are divorced women that just went out and got fucked real well after their divorce.
Where are those men who did them to them? Sketch them out. Go and find your sketch artist and put them on. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, right?
But but that's the thing. So I just find if you've got in a healthy relationship, if you've got one or two partners watching porn, it's totally destructive to
Mhm.
the longevity and the intimacy of the relationship. So probably take it away from, is it cheating? It's just like it's going to destroy the relationship anyway, right?
Exactly, it's gonna end up down the gurgler anyway, and I don't think people are having conversations at the start of relationships. Like, I know that it's fresh for, Cass and I because we are literally both tantra facilitators,
Yeah,
but there's not been any other relationship that I've gone into going, "Tell me what it is that you actually want to experience through intimacy and intercourse as well." Like,
what
why
don't
do you
you
wanna
like?
do this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
what are the taboos? What are the no's? What are the things you're
Mhm.
not going to do? And that does take some awareness, because it to sit there, this does take a bit of courage, right? Because
Mhm.
sometimes you have to sit there and listen to what other partners have done to the other partner,
Mhm.
and go,
Yes.
this is my experience. This is what I
Mhm.
completely, this is my line in the sand. This does not happen in me anymore, because
Mhm.
this is what's happened to a previous partner and it's not happening. Didn't want it, didn't like it, all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. This
Yeah.
stuff I do like, let's
Yes.
want to explore more, you know,
Mm.
that stuff I don't know about. Let's try that and see where it goes. If I don't like it, then we don't do it, right?
Mhm.
But nobody has those conversations. It's ridiculous that you can have a healthy relationship and not talk about any of this stuff.
Exactly. And this is where like things like people just go into people pleasing mode where they're like, "Oh, I just need to keep the peace, don't need another blow up." But
Yeah,
if you're not having these conversations, if you're not communicating about your needs, wants and desires in the bedroom and in intimacy, not just in intercourse, not just behind closed doors, but in all areas, you're going to end up resenting your partner. Like it's just going to
yeah,
constantly build, but you're the one that didn't use your voice to begin with.
yeah. But it is healthy, and it takes a bit of, again, it takes a bit of, um, for you to sit in that space and ask questions about ex partners, and you not to be,
Mhm.
let's say, triggered by it too much, right?
Mhm.
Then that shows you your partner level of awareness that's very, very unique. You can sit there and actually have that conversation about, okay, well, these are the
Mhm.
things that have happened to me that I don't like, right? Or these are the
Mhm.
things I want to explore in that space, right? Because
Yeah.
if you come together as a new couple, the only history you've got is with other partners, right?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. If you've also got wounding or trauma or stuff, essentially baggage, and take that into a new relationship as well without dealing with it, without like working on your stuff, without healing through as much as you possibly can. Like that's so unfair to take through into a new partnership. You
Mm.
cannot expect your new partner to be a rehabilitation center for the
Oh,
choices you've made previously.
right. Let's open that can of worms. Let's do that. Right?
Let's go there.
Too many people don't address their previous sexual trauma, and then
Mhm.
the new person's having to deal with, or
Mhm.
with that
Yeah.
trauma. They're punished for your previous mistakes.
Yeah. And like understandably, sometimes it doesn't come up though until you're with the partner. It's
Yeah,
deep down in there, or something triggers it, or you think you're through it, and then you get together with a new partner, and then you're like, "Fuck, actually, I'm not quite through this yet.
yeah,
There's still remnants of this here."
yeah,
So, but generally speaking, like you don't go into a new relationship with a pile of shit to hand over to your partner and be like, "Here, can you help me clean up my shit, please?"
yeah. Because what happens is that new partner's punished for stuff that you won't address,
Mhm.
right? And then it gets
Mhm.
into a place. Well, that partner now goes, well, right. I'm paying for your mistakes and his mistakes. Why am I paying for that?
Mhm.
I want this new version. I
Mhm.
want this, but you're dragging that shit into this new relationship, not dealing with it. But I'm the one being affected by it.
Exactly. And I feel like the older people get, the more like shit they have. Like I hear stories about women my age, I'm almost in my late 30s. Um, and, it's like guys are going through marriages and divorces and kids and stuff, but then they're also a little fucked up from that as well.
Yeah.
And they're saying, "Oh, I don't want commitment because like my last wife, cleaned me out and took me for everything and took my half my super and took all of this and I barely see my kids and I wouldn't want to do that again, so I don't want to commit to a relationship." And a woman's like, "But that wasn't me. I
Yeah.
didn't do that. Why am I being punished for that? I just want love that tastes like real love. Like, why can't we just experience that? Why do you have to bring me stuff forward?"
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
It's rife because people these days just jumping from relationship to relationship, using the next relationship to fix the trauma from the previous relationship. That's all they're doing.
Mhm.
They're just doing rebound
Mhm.
trauma release.
I know I dated a guy that was like that, and he was a serial dater, and he was just so traumatized from it. And like, I remember him saying to me, he was like, "I really hope this works out because I'm just done with dating." And I'm like, "I'm sorry. I beg your finest pardon. Like, I'm not here to just like for you to be the stopover point so you can stop dating because it's good here."
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And you've got all this like fucking suitcases of luggage
Mm. Yeah.
you're carrying around with you because of this. Like, I'm not a rehab center for your fucking bullshit that came before me.
Yeah. But I think it's I look, porn's way it's too accessible for people just to check out these days. It's one of those things where
Yeah.
it's that, like you said, it's at our fingertips. It's easy to access. It for a lot of people, you don't have to pay for it. You just go onto some kind of thing on Facebook and just watch some AI
And
chick
if
do
you,
something,
yeah,
right?
you're lucky if you don't download a virus onto your computer at the same
Yeah.
time.
When it, so it's but it is, playing to a certain psychological thing inside of us, right? That, that
Mhm.
sort of deeper need for some kind of intimate connection. And because we're not doing that with our partners, and we're ignoring the people that are in front of us because we don't want to have the hard conversations,
Mhm.
because like I said before, we're too busy trying to people please,
Mhm.
we take the easy option out, which the
Exactly.
easy
And
option
like when
is,
we come back to like our tagline of this podcast is know thyself, fuck better. Like
yeah,
if you know yourself, if you know who you are, if you know that you are capable of bringing forward uncomfortable and vulnerable questions and conversations with your partner, and that's going to lead to a deeper level of connection with your partner. I'm sorry, but that's where the orgasms are. Hello.
like again, it's having an orgasm with your intimate partner versus something that you're jerking off to online. They're very different, aren't they?
Oh, so different. There is nothing quite like the experience of making love with a partner and both like climaxing. And this is not just heterosexual couples. Like this is same-sex couples as well, you know.
Yeah,
And if it floats your boat to be in, a polyamorous relationship and there's a group of you that live together and exist and relate together, then you're all doing it together. Great, great, go nuts, right?
yeah.
But I just feel as though it's it's too accessible, it's too taken for granted, and we're losing the true essence of sex, which is, connection, love, evolution, spiritual, divine connection.
I also try to get people to, for example, right? Let's just say a guy's gone into the bathroom, he's gone to jerk off, right? I
Mhm.
get him to try and think, just put yourself in your wife's situation. Just sit
Mhm.
there, be inside her body and her head at that moment when she's seen you get out of bed, go into the bathroom, shut the door, and she knows exactly what you're doing with your phone.
Mhm.
How do you think she feels in that space?
Mhm.
Like put yourself in her shoes, or vice versa,
Mhm.
right? Is that your
Mhm.
wife's got up, she's gone to have a shower, she's got a magic wand in the shower, and she comes back out, she's all relaxed, right? She's all,
That post
you know,
orgasm glow.
yeah, exactly, right? That the stars and spangle stuff, right?
Mhm.
Imagine you know, put yourself in your husband's shoes and or your boyfriend's shoes or your partner's shoes in that space where he's still in bed going, well, she's just gone to the bathroom and jerked off or got herself off,
Mhm.
and I'm here. Like, what does that make that
Mhm.
person feel? And one of the one of the big things that you and I have talked about quite often is the fact of understand what your words and actions are doing to what's the other person feeling when you do this? What's the other
Mm.
person thinking to themselves when you're doing this? Have the awareness, get outside your own fucking selfish head and your own urges and needs in that moment and think about if I do this and I say this, how does my partner feel when I do this?
Mhm. And it's not even just about jerking off. This is everything. This is every instance.
Yeah.
Like, relationships are not just about what you get out of it and what you get to feel. It's a co creation of what you get to create together, what you both feel, what you both get to do for each other. And so, if you're not asking that
Yeah.
question in your day to day life, or when someone's getting themselves off, then I mean, there's one of your problems that you've got to sort out.
Mm, exactly. You know, so it's people may listen to this and think, "Oh, you're two old prudes." Like, what would you know? Porn is
We
healthy
know
and all that
we
kind
know
of
how to
stuff.
have good sex with our partners. That's what we know.
But understand, like, if that's the case, right, and you're in an intimate relationship, go and ask your partner, "Are you
Mhm,
okay?" And be truthful. Are you okay me jerking off to another chick every day? Are you,
mhm,
sit down with them and actually ask them every single day. There's this chick on Instagram that I jerk off to. Are you
mhm,
okay with that? What the
mhm.
answer is going to be? No.
And if it's the thing is, if it's a yes, I'm telling you now, there's something more going on for her because 99.9% of women do not want that. Mm.
Yeah. And if you're a single person and doing it, right? There's the other part. If you're single and this is, again, you're helping yourself to the lolly shop every day, how is that helping you? And let me be honest here. I've last time I was single, I was in my early 20s and I'm 50 now, right? So I don't have a lot of experience with this, right? So, but what does it do for people who are single? Is it healthy for people who are single to you know use porn? Is it something that adversely affects them, or is it something that can be beneficial?
Depending on their intention behind it. Like, for everything in life, you ask yourself, to what purpose does this serve? Right? If it's just for, like,
Yeah,
if you just need to just get off, release steam, release some life force energy as a male, obviously, like, great. Just be aware of it, be conscious about it. If it's something that happens constantly, if you're trying to avoid feeling a feeling, so you're trying to create dopamine in your system or a flood of oxytocin because it looks and it feels good, then you've got to address what's actually going on underneath the surface there as to why you're doing it. And then you've got people on the other end of the spectrum where it's like, no, I'm even going to have sex with my partner and maintain my semen, like semen retention.
yeah,
Where they're
mm,
like, I don't actually
yeah,
have to ejaculate because I know how powerful I feel and that life force energy and that testosterone that stays inside my body so that I can get more done. I'm more
yeah,
productive. I'm more disciplined. I'm more focused. So it's like semen retention, from what I understand through, Cass is very open about this, and I've known quite a few men that practice this. It's like the ultimate biohack for some men. To even like
it's
to
bloody
be aroused.
it's hard,
Hey.
bloody difficult.
Yeah. But it's not only like in in intercourse areas, but it's like it's okay, like celebrate arousal, all of the things. but don't push
Mm,
yourself to orgasm as well. Like, what does that look like? So, and there's a lot of people that enjoy that. Like, there's, there's edging, and there's all, there's other different practices to do from a
mm,
pleasure perspective to get you there. And sometimes, like, especially, like, let's circle back to people being single. Like, sometimes you are missing connection, you are missing intimacy, and to watch it on a screen, whether it's intimacy or whether it's just hardcore porn, I highly recommend, like, if you're going to watch porn, watch like really beautiful, intimate lovemaking and then see what difference that has
mm.
on you. But if you're missing that and you
It's
just
more
want to be,
educational.
if you want to remember, hey,
It's more educational. That's more research
exactly,
based.
exactly. Like, go for the stuff where there's actually like deep layers of respect that happen, communication, like really beautiful physical touch, like that kind of like intimacy.
Yeah.
Notice how potentially you masturbate differently watching something like that as opposed to hardcore porn.
Amazing comment. Amazing comment. Because it's, if you're single and you're avoiding um, intimacy with anybody else, so if you're happy being single when jerking off to porn, because it's a way for
Mm-hmm.
you to avoid any, because you've got self-confidence issues or you can't get a girl, you've been rejected more times than enough, right? If you're using porn as an avoidance tactic, there's a bad thing there, right? But the other side of things is that, again, that erotica teaching, I remember I did a course years and years and years ago, and the instructors actually had sex. They were
Mm.
partners, right? But
What
they would go
courses do
through the
you
whole
go
stuff
to?
of
Was it
the
like in front of you guys?
it was video kind of stuff, right? They went
Oh,
through the
right.
whole, so
Okay.
they went through the whole thing about the anatomy of males and females, and all this kind of stuff, and they went through different ways to arousal and everything, right? It was actually really interesting. Like, it was fascinating. I'll send you the link if I've got them. I'll just have a look at it, right? Um, but it was, between consensual parties is learning that stuff, right? That's not porn. That is,
Mm.
like your tantra stuff, right? That is, deep
Yeah.
educational, spiritual connection. The intention
Hmm.
behind that was to actually teach people about the real aspects of intimacy and be able to approach subjects where, we did one week where it was purely energetically arousal, where you held your hand literally right above your
Above their
partner and
body.
touching the hairs as they
Hmm.
actually came up, right? And
Hmm.
that was in itself, right, learning how to channel
Hmm.
energy through that space, right, and different parts of
Yeah.
the body. And you would find, certain places would create an arousal where you wouldn't think it would, right?
Hmm.
Where you think, oh,
Hmm.
let's, let's go to these parts, which usually are the ones that's like, no, there'd be other parts in the body that would actually create very similar aspects because of the level of intimacy and connection through a pure
Hmm.
intention of an energetic, connection. So, in that space, like I said, there's a big difference between that kind of educational material and erotica and
Yeah.
that versus the wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Let's just, it's a
Hmm.
transactional thing kind of stuff, right? And I
Yeah.
think we have to sort of demarcate. There's different levels and different aspects to porn, right? There's porn, which is
Hmm.
that, but there's educational, sexual, tantra, Kama
Hmm.
Sutra, all that kind of
Hmm.
stuff. That's very much, if you want to go and learn that shit and watch some videos on that, go for it, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a
Yeah.
positive intention of that. Usually doing that to build a connection with somebody, not to take it away.
Exactly. Exactly. Or come and see Cass and I for tantra training. Like,
Exactly.
like
Exactly
go and
right.
learn about
Okay.
this stuff. Learn how to be intimate. Like, I love working with couples. Working with couples is my favorite thing, aside, from the training that we do, is because to see couples that may not have experienced the level of intimacy that we teach, and just such simple ways to connect with your partner and understand each other, hear each other, feel each other, like, it just brings you back to why you got together in the first place.
And that's the thing. When you first get together, it's all happy days. It's all fun and
It's
laughing,
all
and you're doing
sex.
all kinds of
It's
different things, right?
all sex.
But
Yeah.
it is. But those long term ones are where it starts to get a bit, bit touchy. And the one thing that you're not doing those longer term ones is you're not doing what you did at the start, which was communicating.
Exactly. Yeah.
You
And
know,
being playful,
all you
being
got to
open. Yeah.
creating some
Mm.
sexual tension, some resistance in that space, right?
Mhm.
We've forgot the art of human interaction. So anyway, so it is, yes, no, it's a grey area, which is not so grey, but then some of it's actually quite good to use porn.
Yes.
So, and I wouldn't class, the tantra as porn. That's porn is
No,
the
no, please,
more
please, yeah, exclude the tantra from if anyone's thinking like, oh,
sexual
that's just porn.
education.
Nope. Nope.
Nope, nope. No, it just. But if you look at statistically though, it's porn is doing more damage than enough of in intimate relationships, right? Where you're single, so be it, right?
Mhm.
But if you're in an intimate relationship with your partner and you're getting more out of the porn than out of your partner, then that is a red flag that needs to be addressed. Otherwise, you'll end
Literally.
up in a place which is quite dysfunctional.
Massively, massively. Yeah.
How can they find us, Jen?
Always on Instagram, Intuition Orgasms Podcast. Leave us comments, rating, reviews. We love it all. Thank you so much.